Okay. Can you read?
So I have heard. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Vesali
Vesali.
in Ambapali's wood. There, the Buddha addressed the mendicants.
Monks.
Mendicants. Venerable sir, they replied. The Buddha said this. Mendicants, conditions are impermanent. Conditions are unstable. Conditions are unreliable. This is quite enough for you to become disillusioned, dispassionate, and freed regarding all conditions. Senaru, the king of mountains, is 84,000 leagues long and 84,000 leagues wide. It sinks 84,000 leagues below the ocean and rises 84,000 leagues above it. There comes a time when, after a very long period has passed, the rain doesn't fall. For many years, many hundreds, many thousands, many hundreds of thousands of years, no rain falls. When this happens, the plants and seeds, the herbs, grass, and big trees wither away and dry up, and are no more. So impermanent are conditions, so unstable, so unreliable. This is quite enough for you to become disillusioned, dispassionate, and freed regarding all conditions. There comes a time when, after a very long period has passed, a second sun appears. When this happens, the streams and pools wither away and dry up, and no more. So impermanent are conditions. There comes a time when, after a very long period has passed, a third sun appears. When this happens, the great rivers, the Ganges, Yamuna, Ajiravati, Sarabhu, and Mahi wither away and dry up and are no more. So impermanent are conditions. There comes a time when, after a very long period has passed, a fourth sun appears. When this happens, the Great Lakes from which the rivers originate, the Anotata, Sihapapata, Radhakara, Kannamunda, Kunala, Chadanta, and Mandakini wither away and dry up, and are no more. So impermanent are conditions. There comes a time when, after a very long period has passed, a fifth sun appears. When this happens, the water in the ocean sinks by 100 leagues. It sinks by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or even 700 leagues. The water that remains in the ocean is only 7 palm trees deep. It's 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or even 1 palm tree deep. The water that remains in the ocean is only 7 fathoms deep. It's 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or even a half fathom deep. It's waist high, knee high, or even ankle high. It's like the time in the autumn where the rain falls heavily and water remains here, and therein the cow's hoof prints. In the same way, water in the ocean remains here, and the puddles like cows' hoof prints. When the fifth sun appears, there is not even enough water in the great ocean to wet a toe joint. So impermanent are conditions.
Okay, let us stop from. So,
what do I understand?
Yeah, but before that, I want to explain you that the most curious topic is who created the world or how universe is originated. So this is the question that has been disturbing every scientist's mind and even us, and different answers have coming up, but sometimes we still question it. Okay, so when it comes to the Buddhist philosophy, even though the Buddha doesn't specifically pinpoint the related facts or factors in terms of how the universe is originated, But if we, combine different discourses and just put it together and we analyze, we will see how the world or universe is originated. So this is one discourse. Another discourse we studied is the unrighteous. You remember?
Kena.
How, I mean,
The last one.
Yeah, the last one. When the kings are unrighteous and how it affects the entire society.
Kena.
So what I want to say, I mean, Buddha used every discourse in order to explain the ultimate truth or the true nature of life, and in order to get his disciples rid of,
Those thoughts.
or defilements. But here we I mean, to be honest with you, sometimes we need to refer to the commentaries for more detailed account related to discourse, but we don't have time. But I just want you to draw a basic comprehension how Buddhism interprets the end of the world. We can say that.
Kena.
So, and others also. So you can. So what is your elaboration? What is your understanding?
Okay, we see that the setting is in where Buddha goes to a place near Vesali.
Vesali is a town
in Imbapali's wood. So in a forest. And he meets with monks.
Yeah, when you consider like it's a translation.
And then he explains to the monks about impermanence of conditions and how conditions are unstable, unreliable, and can cause you to become disillusioned, dispassionate, and freed regarding all conditions.
Okay, but I'm sorry to interrupt you. I want you to explain what is condition. So this is the direct translation from the Pali term sankhara. Sankhara. It is, the translation is condition. Except nirvana. Okay. According to Buddhist perspective, except nirvana, everything existing in the universe, including human being, is under the law of
impermanence.
It means under the law of cause and effect. Paticcasamuppada. That is why we call it condition. Conditions are the things including human beings, like including living being and non-living being, because everything is under the law of cause and effect. Only except nirvana is not under the law of cause and effect. So when everything existing in the world is under the law of cause and effect, it is impermanent, it is suffering, according to Buddhist perspective. So this, I want to say, conditions mean everything. Okay.
And he goes and describes how how conditions are unreliable. And what I believe he means by that is the way you can't expect, like how it disillusion, you can be disillusioned is that if you put a label on something, right, and you say, the moment you put a label, you are disillusioned to believe in that label. Right? And you think about how like the earth, or for example this piece of paper, if I say that, if I put a condition on this piece of paper and say this is perfect piece of paper, right, in my mind I will believe that this is the best piece of paper, but things change. It never stays the same.
Correct.
And how in a certain amount of time this will no longer be a perfect piece of paper. It will return to nothing or organic matter, right? And that's how conditions are unstable. No matter what labels we put on it, it is always going to change. And he explains that by like mountains and how they can change throughout time, or the oceans. We label them as the greatest ocean. But if a sun were to come up and heat it all up, it will always change.
Okay, so unstable. Now you understand the core teaching of Buddhism. That is why the Buddha, I mean, so much emphasizes on this kinds of thing. And another reason is Buddha wanted to postulate the we call it sense of emergency, the translation, like kinds of the Pali is Sangvega, kinds of understanding, kinds of fear that must be positive, not negative, that everything will change and we are heading to the destruction of the world, we are heading to the end of the world, everything will be in a chaotic situation. So what we have to do is, by understanding that we are heading to the dangerous situation, what you have to do is you have to be getting ready, getting ready. So that is what the Buddha tried to emphasize. And
do not rely on permanence.
Yeah. So the Buddha's word is impermanent are conditions. You must work out for your own salvation. So to be honest, it's scary. I mean, the circle of life is scary. So this is obvious example that the 7 suns will appear in the universe. But I want to explain you like Sumeru. So this, and it is also mentioned in the Hinduism, but just different story. The mountain Sumeru, and it can't be seen by our eye because this is the mountain stands in the middle of the how to say that, the universe. Okay, and how big it is, and let me explain this. I forgot the exact detail of the technical terms of the mountain. So according to Buddhist perspective, this is how the universe. So this is Sumeru mountain, the king of the mountain, and the universe comprises, we call it 4 continents. We call it Jambudvipa. Another one is, I forgot the technical term. There are 4, and it is surrounded by water. It's called ocean. Not the ocean on our planet, right? Okay. And so Buddha is only born on this planet, like human planet. I mean, I'm sorry, consonant, like what is the word for that? I forgot.
In only planet?
Not the planet. I confused the word for consonant and continent.
Continent?
Okay, continent. So there are 4 continents. There are 4 continents here. So we call Jambudvipa. Jambudvipa is our planet. Okay. So what I want to say, this is our universe, and up on how the under is the hell and so on and so on. Called Buddhism, and when you go up, there's a different stages of heaven. Like here, like okay, just to let you to understand, and the
mountain.
Sumeru is here. It's very, and you can understand how high it is, how big it is. And the 4 more detail or detailed account, you can refer to the book that the master gave you. It describes how the universe is stand. Okay.
I think this also conditions also talks about like rules and regulations that people put on ourselves. And I think he's also talking about like how society is always changing. Society back then does not have the same values as society now. And even I think Buddhism is also evolving because it will never be the same as it was back then. Now we chant chant to remember, but back then nobody chanted. They just
practice.
And conditions can also be seen as like rules. If we put rules and expect them to last, they will never last.
No.
You have to learn how to adapt. And
it will change. Okay. Except Nirvana. Okay. So 84 leagues. It's Yojana. I don't know how far it is. 84 leagues. So it must be
Very tall.
Yeah, very tall. Because it covers the entire ocean, I mean the cosmology. Okay, so we can go back. So what happened during the first, now we are experiencing the situation having one sun. So but there comes a time, okay, but we don't know when it is. Okay, after a very long period has passed, a second sun appears. So when this happens, the stream or pool,
Streams and pool wither
stream
away.
pools, wither away and dry up and are not more so impermanent. So sometimes when the people have very abstract comprehension, they can understand the subtle things. But for some people, you have to bring the visible or apparent example for them to understand the condition are impermanent. Sometimes people just by looking at their body they can understand that this is the nature of permanent. But some people you have to bring back kinds of this stuff like the earth, the planet, and so on. Okay, because
I think it's also talking about like memories, and you know how to access memories we need to go through our own mind and perspectives to look at how we saw the past, right? And how those can be seen as conditions, the illusions that you come up with, and that if you keep trying to remember the past, or if you keep trying to relive the past and put labels on things, that it's gonna make you be disillusioned, right? And how nothing ever stays the same.
Okay, so you can see what happened. Then the third sun. Okay,
There comes a time where
yeah,
the third sun, the rivers wither away.
yeah, these river are, we call it, are the biggest river on the planet. Okay, so after
the rivers,
after river,
fourth sun,
then what happened? You can
the
see.
lakes. What is the lakes.
Great Lake.
Great
Okay.
Lakes
Okay.
wither away,
Okay, then
and after that the oceans.
then the
The
ocean.
water in the ocean sinks and they all dry up. There comes a time when, after a very long period has passed, the sixth sun appears. When this happens, this great earth and Sinnaru, the king of mountains, smoke and smolder and give off fumes. It's like when a potter's kiln is first kindled and it smoke and smolders and gives off fumes. In the same way, the great earth and Sinnaru, the king of mountains, smoke and smolder and give off fumes. So impermanent are conditions. There comes a time, after a very long period has passed, a seventh sun appears. When this happens, this great earth and Sinnaru, the king of mountains, erupt in one burning mass of fire. And as they blaze and burn, the flames are swept by the winds as far as Brahma realm. Sinnaru, the king of mountains, blazes and burns, crumbling as it's overcome by the great fire. And meanwhile, mountain peaks as 100 leagues high, or 2, 3, 4, or 500 leagues high, disintegrate as they burn. And when the great earth and Sinnaru, the king of mountains, ablaze and burn, no soot or ash is found. It's like when ghee or oil blaze and burn, and neither ash nor soot are found. In the same way, when the great earth and Sinnaru, the king of mountains, blaze and burn, no soot or ash is found. So impermanent are conditions, so unstable are conditions, so unreliable are conditions. This is quite enough for you to be disillusioned, dispassionate, and freed regarding all conditions. Mendicants.
Okay, can you elaborate? So, like, from your understanding.
He continued. As the sixth and seventh sun comes, everything will all turn into, will
ashes.
burn, but there will be no ashes or soot. It's just disintegrate.
Okay, it can be found. Can't be found, right?
It's just gone.
Okay.
Mendicants. Who would ever think or believe that this earth and Sinnaru, king of mountains, will burn and crumble and be no more, except for one who has seen the truth? Once upon a time, there was a teacher called Sunita. He was a religious founder and was free of sensual desires. He had many hundreds of disciples. He taught them the path to rebirth in the company of Brahma. Those who totally understood Sanata's teachings were, when their body broke up after death, reborn in a good place, the company of Brahma. Of those who didn't totally understand Sunata's teaching, some, when their body broke up after death, were reborn in the company of the gods who control the creation of others. Some were reborn in the company of gods who love to create, and some, the joyful gods, some were the gods of Yama, some were the gods of 33, and some were the gods of the 4 great kings. Some were reborn in the company of well-to-do aristocrats or Brahmins or householders. When teacher Sunata thought, "It is not proper for me to be reborn in the next life in exactly the same place as my disciples. Why don't I further develop love?" Then Sunata developed love for 7 years. Having done so, he did not return to this world for 7 eons of cosmic expansion and contraction. As the cosmos contracted, he went to the realm of streaming radiance. As it expanded, he was reborn in a new mansion of Brahma. There he was the Brahma, the great Brahma, the undefeated, the champion, the universal seer, the wielder of power. He was Sakka, the Lord of gods, 36 times. Many hundreds of times he was a king, a wheel-turning monarch, a just and principled king. His dominion extended to all 4 sides. He achieved stability in the country, and he possessed the 7 treasures. He had over 1,000 sons who were valiant and heroic, crushing the armies of his enemies. After conquering the land grit by sea, he reigned by principle, without rod or sword. Yet even though Sunata lived so long, he was not exempted from rebirth, old age, and death. He was not exempt from sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair, I say.
Okay, can you stop for a while? To elaboration, please, then I will go later.
The Buddha talked about this one religious founder, one teacher, who was very smart and well respected. And his disciples, after they died, were able to understand, ended up having very good places in their life. And then he realized, if I'm teaching, I should end up in a better place. So he developed love. What does it mean by he developed love?
Metta, loving kindness.
Oh. And so after he developed love, he had very good karma, I believe.
Yep.
So he was reborn at very high places and very pleasurable places. He had good karma, but even though he did all of this stuff and had all of this wealth, he still was not exempted from old age, rebirth, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair.
Sure, correct. So let me add. Okay, so after showing a very clear example that the world is going to end, or all conditions are impermanent, Buddha bring up another story to demonstrate to his disciples that you have to practice. So here I want to show you that then Sunata develop love of servant, love of 7 years. I mean, let me say this.
He developed loving kindness.
Yeah, loving kindness. I mean, in order to what we are doing right now, including your mom, your dad, every Buddhist, we just cultivate or collect or accumulate some merits. Sometimes can be born as a human, or sometimes can be born as divine beings, but we are not 100% sure about that, including me, to be honest. So it's a circle of life, that you know that it's a circle of life. We can be born as the animal, we can be born in the hell. So you cannot predict it. It depends on the cause and effect, or they call it karmic formation. We are creating each and every moment that we are living. But his students are smart. They develop a very high standardized meditation technique that they can be born in different realm of celestial beings. Okay, and these are the divine realms. Okay, according to Buddhist perspective, we call it. There are six. There are six here. Can you go back one up on the time? Can you go back to once upon a time?
Once upon a time, there was a teacher called Sunatta. He was a religious founder and was freed of sensual desires. And many hundreds of disciples, he taught them the path to rebirth in the company of Brahma. Those who totally understood Sunatta's teachings were, when their body broke up after death, reborn in a good place, the company of Brahma. Or who didn't totally understand Sunatta's teachings, some, when their body broke up after death, were reborn in the company of God, who control creation of others.
Okay, sometimes they can be born, as the God who, control the creation of others. Some they born as, the God who love to create and joyful God, and some gods of Yama, so like the name of God, like different stages, and some God of 33. So these are the different names of realms of God. And the final one is God for king, great king. Then here is like as Brahmins or householders, aristocrats. What are they?
They're like wealthy people.
Okay. So, but we have to reverse backward. Like we have to start from here. Okay, so householder.
That's like the low.
Yeah, householder lower.
To be reborn as a householder or Brahmins use it, and then it goes up to gods of the 4 great kings, and gods of 33,
and go up to
gods of Yama.
Correct.
Joyful gods.
Correct.
Gods who love to create. Gods who control the creation of others, and then Brahma.
The Brahma, the Brahma. But we can stop here. But most of the people who are accumulating merits, including me, we will be born in this realm. But if you want to be born as Master Sunatta, you can see, then Sunatta developed love for 7 years. So here he is cultivating the meditation technique. We call it meditative absorption. In Pali we call it jhana. That you will reach a stage where the 5 hindrances no longer disturb you. You are in a very pure, in a very bright.
You don't hear, touch, see.
Correct. You might hear, but you don't attach, you don't cling to it, or you don't. Simply, you are in a very
concentrate.
Very concentrate, a deep concentration, and a very serenity and very calmness. And as you remember that Venerable Buddha told you about the light you explained. But this is the first stage of the pure mind, of the bright bright equanimity and the powerful mindfulness. But when you cultivate it more and more, you will reach the jhana, meditative absorption. So when you are very skillful with that you can remain it for 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours, even 2 days. So he practices 7 years continuously. He remained off and on he come to eat and he go back meditating. So he practiced for 7 years. So only the person who have attained jhana or meditative absorption will have the ability to reborn in Brahma world. So the Brahma world has stages. Like if you have attained first jhana, first stages of Brahma, so up to 4, and there are, according to Buddhist perspective, there are 8 meditative absorption. Okay, so you can reborn in different stages. So what I want to say, it is called the spiritual evolution. Evolution, right? Yeah. So this is what the Buddha.
You're always growing.
Correct. So this is the point. This is the position that Buddhism takes when it comes to the human evolution and the cosmology evolution. So it links together each other,
Correct.
materiality and spirituality.
You always grow, getting smarter.
Correct. So like as we discussed in the discourse of what unrighteous,
Correct.
how humans are getting sick and getting ugly because their mentality is corrupted. So this is what I want to say. Then I want to bring up this point. Okay, having done so, he did not return, okay, to this world for 7 eons. 7 eons, okay, of cosmic expansion and contraction. So this is the Buddhist philosophy of how the world is originated and how the world is ended. We call it cosmic expansion, cosmic contraction. So, and to count 1 eon, the world must be ended according to Buddhist perspective. Okay, and like 7 sun will come and everything will destroy and then come back again. That's like it kinds of evolution,
like a circle.
Yeah, but it takes very long. You cannot imagine that how long it is. Okay,
the universe grows and then it destroys itself, then it grows again
7 times.
7 times, and then he came back.
So he was born. He was born in Brahma world. Okay, so you understand. And not only that, like he had been a very powerful being. He is a Brahma, the great Brahma. Okay, let me add this because it is not mentioned in this discourse, but it is mentioned in another discourse. So this is where the Christianity and Islam believe that there is a creator. Okay, so Buddha also explained that when you remain in a universe or like 7 eon, you will become deluded. You will become you will confuse that you are the eternal one. Okay, and during the world, at the beginning of the world origination, because this Brahma, he doesn't see anyone around him, so
he thinks he's
the one who created the world. So this is Buddhist perspective. Okay, so yeah, he's the great man. He was the head of the god. Like
he had a lot of things.
He had everything, but finally, what happened to him? According to what you said,
he still died. He still grew old, and he was able to feel sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and despair.
Correct. Simply everything is impermanent. Like only nirvana is permanent. So okay.
Why is that? Because of not understanding and not penetrating 4 things. What 4? Noble ethics, immersion, wisdom, and freedom. These noble ethics, immersion, wisdom, and freedom have been understood and comprehended. Craving for continued existence have been cut off. The attachment to continued existence has ended. Now, there will be no more future lives. That is what the Buddha said. Then the Holy One, the teacher, went on to say, ethics, immersion, and wisdom, and the supreme freedom. These things have been understood, Gautama, the renowned. And so the Buddha, having insight, explained his teaching to his mendicants. The teacher has made an end of suffering. Seeing clearly, he is extinguished.
Okay. So, we might be doing a lot of stuff like to remain happy, but our one and only goal is to attain enlightenment. Because everything is impermanent, and it is obvious from wherever the discourse is describing. So let me just explain you this. So why this? Because he did not understand or penetrate 4 things. One is what? Noble ethics.
Ethics, immersion.
Like morality. So morality have stages according to Buddhist perspective. It start from 5 precepts to 10 precepts, what you are observing. So Bhikkhu, we observe like 270 precepts, but we have more than that.
Immersion.
Yeah, immersion here like meditation, concentration,
Wisdom.
panya,
And freedom.
Freedom is the liberation from the suffering.
Nah.
Okay, so and the detailed account is in the book you are reading. Okay, it has everything there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all. So you understand. So what I want you to understand, like how to say that, how great the Buddhist philosophy is when it comes to the
creation.
So even though the Buddha didn't specifically and directly tell you this is how the world, but this is a story that we can relate. We can because if you have time, you can refer to the commentaries. It explains how the cosmic expansion and contraction happen. Even the book you are reading, if you have time, you just refer to. So this is the Buddhist philosophy. No one is created the world, but it kinds of expansion and contraction.
It repeats.
Correct. So you can relate to the scientific perspective because you know the Big Bang theory, or I don't know the Darwinism. Okay.
You can.
Okay.
That was good.
You can expand your knowledge. So I just want to share.
Thank you.
Okay, you can take it and you can keep it.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, tomorrow is full moon day, so let us go in the back.
Tomorrow?
Today, around 5. You are free, right?
And what do we do at the back?
Like clean the Buddha statue, the big one.